Welcome back to part 2 with our interview with Emmy Award-winning engineer, mixer, and producer Cesar Mejia. Let's go. Now, what about in terms of installing consoles? Like, was it Marcus Miller you did
we did
an SSL?
We did an SSL and a AWS 900.
What was the one we had in the
same one?
It's the same exact one.
Yeah. So when we got the one at Cal State Dominguez, I was already installing the one at Marcus Miller's, and I got a call from a guy named Quentin Nixon, who was like one of the head SSL guys at the time. And Quentin calls like, "Hey, Cesar, so when do you want this this other console delivered?" I go, "What console? The other AWS?" I go, "Marcus didn't tell me he was getting a second one." He's like, "Oh, no, this is for Cal State Dominguez." I go, "What?" It's like, "No way." He's like, "Well, yeah, they bought one." I'm like, "No way." I go, "I don't believe it."
What year was this?
This was what year was this, Mike? So he was.
This was before.
So
when I first went in there,
I was already
there.
Okay, so what happened is that when we got that one, Mike was taking music production with me.
First instance.
Right? It was the first time I ever taught music production. So we moved the console out. Then there was a summer session. We moved the console out. Go, "Hey guys, on Monday we're gonna play all your projects through the new console. We're gonna play all your final stuff." And then it didn't happen, and we put a little Mackie in there. Mike's like, "What?
This is like, that's your new console?"
And there was just like all these problems with like the people that were selling us a console, and then the school, the check didn't clear or something like that. Like it was something, and the guys were like, "They're not clearing the check." I go, "They're not gonna clear the check. If you ever worked for a school and you do outside work from, they won't pay you until you're done. So you gotta pay for the console." What?
And that's what, $250,000 or something?
It was 80,000 plus the patch bay and the cabling and the connector. So it was probably like between 100 and 120 grand maybe.
Okay, not so bad.
But still, they're not gonna. They don't want to pay it. It's a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah.
What the hell? Like they're like, "No way." I was like, "That's the way it works." So yeah, but eventually we got it in there, and it's been there for a long time, so it's gotten beat up over the years, but it's still hanging in. And today was doing some really kind of funky things with, you turn the EQ, you bring the fader up, and go, whoa, be like, "Whoa, what is going on?"
So it's getting a little idiocy.
Yeah.
Little characteristics that make it special.
Yeah, it's becoming
like Channel 24. If you have it at 6 dB, it's gonna have some weird noise.
Channel 24, on line input, the line trim got frozen, so it just stuck.
So you're like, if you plug into that channel, you better be happy with that gain.
Yeah, exactly, pretty much, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean that was a really cool experience doing that with Mark. And towards the end, we were almost done, and I remember that the Lakers were playing the championship game. He said, "Hey, can I come and watch the game? We got a big screen. I want to come and watch it here at the studio." I'm like, "Oh, that's fine. We're still gonna be working." Like, "Yeah, that's fine." He's like, "Hey, can you plug the audio output of the satellite receiver into the console?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's all right, cool. So we'd have to work in between like commercials. So he'd sit there, watch the game, and come, "All right, work. All right, let's sit back on." We'd have to sit there and watch the game with it. Luckily, we were almost done, but still, I just remember it being really long that day.
Like, okay, you got 5 minutes. Go.
Yeah, plugging stuff in. Okay, game's back on. We put it back on.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So what's one of the most, or just a few of the most memorable stories you have working with? Let's say even just, we already talked some about Herbie, but say either will.i.am or Pharrell or Zach De La Roca, because those three, as of the list of people you worked with, those are the ones I mostly connect to.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with Herbie the most. I don't know.
Well, Pharrell, that was a part of a Herbie Hancock session.
And so Pharrell, and so was the will.i.am stuff was part of his stuff. All that stuff was part. I mean, the stuff, the stuff with like Pharrell's really cool. When you bring someone of that like famous at that level, you're like, whoa, why not? But no, he was
normal dude.
So, one thing that I thought was really cool about him was that. So we were working on the song, and he goes, they're like, "All right, it's time to write some lyrics." So everybody in the room, just like, there was a lot of people. He had some of his people there, and then there was some of our, like, obviously, like me, Herbie, like, I forgot who else was there. There's other musicians there that were kind of part of that session. And so everybody, okay, so it's time to be quiet and write lyrics. And he's like, "Hey man, you guys can't be this quiet." We're like, "What is up? Just pretend I'm not here." He goes, I need like the noise. So he, dude, for like maybe a couple hours, just sat there.
Well, everyone's just hanging out.
Everyone's hanging out, talking, and okay, I got something.
Well, he's probably going to get some ideas. Just he hears a word or a phrase, and that sparks something.
Yeah, so that he did that for like maybe it wasn't maybe a couple hours, but for sure at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And okay, I got something. Went into the booth, laid the part down. He's all right. I'll come back in 2 days, and I'll redo it. And he came back, did some stuff, and and at the time, he wanted to work really early. Like he wanted to start like at 7 a.m. And Herbie's thought, that early? He's like, how about 8:30?
Yeah, 7's a little early.
And then so after working, we worked like 2-3 sessions like that, and I finally told him like, hey, like, are you coming from another studio? That's where you're coming this studio? He's like, oh no, man. He goes, it's because he goes, I'll work. He goes, but I'm not coming from. He goes, I work here, and then I have to be home by noon. I go, why? He's like, oh, because it's my turn to take care of the kids. I just had triplets, dude. He's like, so my wife stays home with somebody helping, and then I kind of come home, and I was like, what?
He's being the dad instead of just getting a maid or something, or his babysitter.
Yeah, he goes, I want to take care of him.
That's cool.
Oh shit, that's fucking cool, dude. And then everybody goes, hey, you guys got something in common. I was like, what the hell? Like, what can I have in common with them? He said, you guys are parents of multiples. Oh, you have triplets too? I was like, nah, I got twins. So he goes, so what advice can you give me? I was like, I don't know. You have triplets.
Yeah, you give me advice.
She's like, yeah, dude, yeah, that's another level, dude. Like, it's hard enough with twins. I don't even know how to do it with triplets. Must be hard. And yeah, but that was a cool one. But with Herbie, there's been so many, man. Like,
well, because how long have you been with him? About 20 years?
I started in 2000. Was it? Either 2001.
Oh yeah, so it's been quarter century basically.
Yeah, for somewhere on there. Yeah, 2001, somewhere around there, on and off, but I guess some of the more memorable ones were like when we worked at Sunset Sound a couple times. Well, actually a few times we worked there, but the last one was really, really cool. Because that one we were there for about a week, and we were working with a producer named Terrence Martin. He's the one that's done a lot. Like he did, I think he produced "Pimp a Butterfly" for Kendrick Lamar, and he's written a bunch of stuff with him. And that one was really cool. The players were all it's his band that he works with right now. Most of them were there. They had a German named Vinny Kaluta on it, and that was a fucking awesome one. It was really, really, really cool. Like it was just fluid, They were working on songs and.
Well, that's the cool thing. I think a lot of the jazz bands, like they, because one of my teachers is Ron Eschte. He taught at a lot at Cal State Long Beach when I went there before Cal State Dominguez. That's where I got all my music stuff. I went through their whole program for their music. And then he teaches at Fullerton, doing some stuff like as an outside teacher. But 7-string jazz player, and he'll just sit in they'll just make up their own bands, and they just play like they've been playing together for 20 years. And, if they know how to communicate with each other, just go. That's what amazes me about jazz.
Yeah, I mean, they're just, and it's, and it's jazz, but it's not jazz. The stuff that they're playing, like Herbie's kind of done a lot of it. We were working once with this one player, and he was trying to make him play like old school stuff.
So he's trying to break out.
And he's like, I don't want to do that. I've done that already. I don't want to do that. And sometimes I notice that when there's new drummers that come in, they bring old jazz, or they bring like a jazz kit, and it's the one that doesn't have it's not a ported kick. And I'm like,
I don't like when
me neither.
I want to have a port always.
So I was telling him, hey man, can you guys bring a ported kick, or can I take the head off? No. So then Herbie would always kind of hear me say that. He's like, well, you know what? Tell the drummer next time that if he doesn't bring one, then he can't come. And I'm like, Herbie, I'm not trying to get into the politics of this stuff, man. I'm just trying to give you 2 sounds.
Yeah.
So that later on, you guys, whoever mixes it,
you got options.
I have options, like I get it. I think they're trying to bring like the whole jazz thing, but I know you. I've been working with you, so long that you want to do new things. You don't want to do the same old thing.
Just like on a Ludwig kit, no port.
Yeah, and it's got the old kind of like Ludwig heads, and it sounds like an old kit. Like, that's just, it doesn't have enough punch, at least for me. But I notice that drummers that end up sticking around are the ones that do have more of a punch on their sound, like the kid who's playing with them now, he must be like 26 years old.
Oh wow!
And he's like a monster, killer.
Have you ever done the with a kick drum where you put 2 drum shells
I like to extend it.
Yeah, just
I've,
open extended.
I've never done that, but I've always wanted. You know, I think we don't have enough time to do that to experiment that way. But you know, like I'm always putting, you know, with those sessions with Herbie, I think we had 3 mics on the kick.
Like a sub kick and
we had a sub kick, an outside mic, and then when you either
on the beater.
go on the beater, you know, things like that, and you know the snares at top, and you know it was Vinny, so he's got 2 snares. So you know you have
top and bottom both.
Yeah,
it's
and
not
then,
like
it was
it's not a timbali, but like
no,
an
no, no.
actual
He's got like one that's just higher pitch, almost like a piccolo, and then a regular snare, and he's doing all these kind of different rhythms on it, and you know he's an awesome. He used to be Frank Zappa's drummer, that guy. So
is he playing with brushes or
sometimes he's playing stick,
all
you know?
over hot rods?
Yeah, he's played that drummer. I just saw a video of him playing with Primus a few years back.
That's cool.
Yeah. So he's
I never saw Primus.
Yeah.
There was a show with it was I think it was Primus in the Perfect Circle that I had the option to go into, and I just was like, oh yeah.
I saw Primus at the Hollywood Palladium. Maybe I was a little older and it was hurting more or something, but man, I had to get out.
Felt it for a few days.
Yeah, I had to get out, but doing those sessions with Herbie at Sunset Sound, those last ones that we did were really like, those I felt really good about them. Maybe I think everybody just felt good, but I think at that point I really honed in on kind of what I do, you know, like the drums sounded really good, everything sounded good, and it was, I mean, you know, it's a big, like it's a 56 input like Neve that they have there, and almost every channel we had used up.
Nice,
you know, but it was an awesome session that we had. Like those sessions were really, really good. They've never released any of that.
Do you find yourself using more of the outboard gear during tracking to get it really dialed in?
Yeah, for
rather
sure.
than use them in post?
Yeah. I try to get EQ, I record with EQs and compressors on all the time because the sounds there. If someone has to go to Logic, then the plugins they're gonna run low. Even how about if I decide to use nothing but Avid plugins and someone says, "Hey, I'm gonna mix it in Logic," and all that sound's gone. Unless I reprint it, and that takes more. So I always record with EQs on. Like,
if you already have an idea what you want it to sound like.
You know, like the guys that kind of really taught me about that, where I was like, well, if it sounds cool, then just why do you want to redo it? Like, just do it that way. Plus, if you only have
trusting your gut.
Yeah, you only have 4 Neve EQs. Guess what? Then if you record them with those sounds, and you can use the EQs for something else or reuse them again when you're mixing. Like, you know, they don't have to stay on there like that. You just print them in. So, but it takes. You know, a lot of, like, you know, it's their reps or repetitions.
Knowing exactly what
you're going to get. Because you have to mess up a lot to go, oh, okay, that's what I don't want to do. And then being able to, like, later on and just, you know, like, be confident of it.
Yeah, I think the main thing is as long as you're not over compressing in the beginning, and then you got to, you know, try to bring it back to life.
And maybe you do want to over compress. Maybe that's a sound that you're going for. Yeah,
maybe.
You know. So, I mean, it just depends what it calls for. You know, today I didn't do it, but we always put, like, a lo-fi mic somewhere in the room where the drums are on.
Like one of those, isn't it like an Ampex or?
No.
Like the $100 mics that just sound like,
we have a couple of them. We have a Shure, what is it? It's a 450?
MK series too.
Yeah, so it's like a
Radio Shack mic?
No, it's not a talkback mic.
That's what we used it for.
Yeah, but it's more like I've seen them on work sites. When it's like what do they call that?
Like at the schools where they press down and talk to them?
That's one of those. And then there's also is it what's that other one from that copper one, Mike? Placid Audio. It's an RU80, and that one sounds super old. It's like all mid range.
Yeah, the older ones sound really, really interesting.
Yeah.
There's a big. I'll have to look up the name of it and send it to you when I get back to the studio. Because off the top of my head, I forget the name of it. But yeah, some of the old ones just super cool to have, especially if you pair them with like an RCA or something.
Yeah.
Just get some different.
Yeah,
different tones.
so that's something that we kind of always do. You know, I mean, like I think the last time we did a session with I think it might have been with Fredo. He needed like a listen back or like a talk back by kind of like a listen back and. We started hearing like, oh man, let's just over compress that one. So we would over compress it, and we were able to use it in the mix.
There's an artist, I forget his name. David's gonna kill me for not remembering his name, but he did Tennessee Whiskey.
Oh, Chris Stapleton, yeah.
I believe he'll set up a second mic and run that
Oh,
mic through a guitar cab.
That's Vance Powell. Vance Powell does it.
He does that.
Yeah, so Vance Powell, I mean, not friends with him, but I know him.
Hmm.
I've talked to him a few times, and he does things like that. My friend Pete Lyman, he's the one who masters all the Chris Stapleton stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool sound you can get there.
Yeah.
We tried it and it was really interesting.
Vance Powell's the shit. He's a complete badass dude. Like he just does like he hates hi-hat mics.
I don't even use hi-hat mics.
I
really.
always put them on because the drummers that I've been
put 'em
working
on.
with, they're always doing like little intricate things, and I can't get it off the overs. At least I can't. But if they're just bashing or doing other things, then you don't really need it. But
I always put them on, but I always find in my mixes I have it like negative 20 dB.
Yeah, or
like
not even use it,
I
yeah.
dial it in just so I hear it.
that's
a
why
little
that's
bit
why
in
I
it.
feel about, well, maybe a little less lately, but for a long time that's how I felt about the bottom snare mic. I would never use it. I was like, man, it sounds like trash. I don't want to, like it doesn't really help me. But some people
Sometimes
it'll work, but for the most part I never really used it,
Now with some of the companies that you kind of are associated with, like you have Waves, like what kind of things are you doing with
well,
Waves?
them I think I just kind of like every 6 months they kind of get me their whole new like library of plugins, and we try things out, and
like the new
and I do-
Mercury level.
yeah,
or
and I
something?
do presets for them, and there's also they have this oh man, it's skipping my mind right now. So it's a plugin that they have, and you can put any other plugins in it to make it one plugin. I think it's called the Rack. It's called the Studio Rack. That's what it's called. So you can put like an EQ, a compressor, and
So it buys you more inserts basically.
so technically, but what's cool about it's got macros on it. So you can say, when I move this button, it's gonna change the threshold of the compressor, and also the low pass on a EQ. You can make it do two things.
So with one automation, you can have it do multiple things.
You can make,
Oh,
or
that's
you could
interesting.
say, I want it so that this is my threshold, and these three knobs are gonna be my EQs or whatever. So you see everything in one box instead of having to go to multiple plugins to do it. So I've done stuff like that for them. That's mainly what I do. I've never developed anything for them. They kind of have. They always say, like, if you think of a great idea for a plugin, let us know. But I'm like, well, that's what you guys are good
Yeah,
at.
that's what you guys do.
Yeah.
What about radio?
Radio, I just use their shit, and I'm good friends with them.
I use
love
their
them.
DIs,
Though.
yeah.
Yeah, I use a lot of their
the
stuff.
reamp.
I mean, I don't know how many radio boxes we got. I mean, there's a few right here.
I use their reamp
Yeah.
and their DI, and that's really all I've used from them.
Yeah,
though.
every once in a while they'll say, hey, we're gonna send you a piece of gear and try it out. Let us know what you think, But I mean, a lot of stuff they're just utilities, guys, and it's like, and the reason I became kind of part of their family is that these Prime Acoustics, who also is owned by Radio, when I was first redesigning the studio, I went to NAMM with Dave Hampton, and Dave introduced me to them, and said like, and I go, hey Dave, are they gonna sell these things? I don't know. That's the owner. Let's go talk to him. So I told him like, hey, you guys sound this stuff? And he goes, well, I don't know. And at the end of the show, he goes, yeah, take them.
Just take 'em.
Yeah, like he didn't take. I paid for them, but I got them from him, and at a good rate, because he goes, if we sell them to you, we're gonna send them back, and you're pretty much gonna pay for the shipping of these back. So like, we'll just give you a deal on these. We're not
I've
supposed to.
never at the end of NAMM actually went around and just bought a bunch of things.
Yeah, you're not supposed to, but people do it.
And then what about
Napoli's is gonna get me for that. You guys didn't hear that.
And then what about was it Vanguard mics?
Vanguard. So I'm good friends with the owner, Derek, and he used to work for another company called Aventone back. Oh man, I don't know how long this was.
I have some Aventone.
Yeah,
speakers.
and then Aventone, I met one of the guys, and one of their one of their sales guys at NAMM, and I just hit it off with him. He's like, hey man, like, and I go, if you guys ever have stuff to try out, let me know. And he sent me the cubes, and they were like a longer ported version of it. I go, man, these are great. So you can have them. And I just wrote a review for them, and then as they started making more mics, they would kind of send me stuff, and then Derek was an intern at that company, and he started working there, became an employee, started fixing mics, and then eventually he's like, I don't know what happened. I think Ken Avant wanted to leave the company, and they left, and they started Vanguard. So it was Ken Avant, Derek, and then Glenn Hefner was his name, and then they started Vanguard, and I just started like trying stuff out for them, and then it was right around the time I met Fredo Ortiz. So I told him, hey, can you send me your mics, and I'll record him just using nothing but Vanguard mics.
Now,
You know?
is it just their 251 style, or do they have a whole series of them?
Well, they don't. Like Vanguard doesn't even do kind of things like that. They do like their own. They never make a mic trying to clone something else.
so-
but they do have.
I remember in
similar-
one of the reviews, someone was saying 251 style, but maybe that was just his
Maybe
perspective
the
on it.
Avantone does do that. So maybe that's what it was. But I know the Vanguard stuff did, and they wanted to make their own mic, and they make a V13, which is a tube mic that's really cool. But the mic that I use from them all the time is a stereo condenser mic that they have. It's called the V44S, and
You
that
just
one.
throw that on everything.
No, it's one of my room. Well, I do use it on a lot of stuff, but with drums, it's one of the many. Well, we have 2 pairs of room mics that I use, and that's one of them. And I put it in blue mic because it's got the capsule you can rotate and things like that. But it sounds. I mean, like there's a guy, another friend of ours named Steve Genowick, and he was the head guy at Capitol before they closed it, and he's friends with Derek. And he goes, hey, can we go do a shootout against the AKG stereo mic? And the guy goes, if I didn't have access to that mic, I would buy 2 of these because it sounds even better than the AKG because this one's newer, you know? And then eventually they made
They're cheaper too than a lot of those other mics. Right? I think Vanguard's.
Yeah,
pricing's
that
pretty
that
reasonable.
Vanguard, I think that stereo mic is probably like 900 or 1,000, somewhere in that price range. They recently made a new one that's a tube stereo mic. And that one sounds really good, but it's like $5,000.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it's just really it's a good mic. I mean, and I love all the Vanguard stuff, man. I use all there's their what are the V4, the V1s, all of those, you know.
Have you ever heard of Cathedral Pipes?
No.
So that's we did an interview with him a few interviews ago. He's one of my guitar students' dads, and he's got his line of microphones, tube
wow.
microphones, and he's got a preamp, and he's got some other products too.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
if you ever want to try one of those out,
Yeah, for sure. I'm always trying new mics out. Like it's, they're great.
yeah, can never have too many.
Yeah, Derek just fixed a U87 that I had laying around for 20 years that broke on me, and I never got it fixed. It was really when the top capsule broke off and inside the connector was broken, and he went in there and with his 3D printer redesigned the whole thing and put it back together. He goes, "Hey man, this thing's old, dude." So where didn't you get it? I go, I was in my 20s when I bought it. I bought it for like $800 off some guy. On the recycler, people don't even know what that is. It was I
remember the
paper
recycler.
version of.
Yeah. We used to find band members. From
Yeah,
that.
that's right, dude. So I bought it from him, and then it broke within the year it broke, and I was like,
It got dropped or just from
I
use?
think it's just it
normal
was
use?
already kind of like when I got it, I could already tell that the capsule was kind of like loose, but it was working. Eventually, I don't know, maybe I put it down and I saw that it moved, and they kind of all went to shit, So I left it around, and finally I got it fixed. And he's like, Derek tells me, hey, I can fix these. I'm like, what? I go, well, go ahead and fix it. And I fixed it. When he fixed it, he goes, hey, man, this thing's really old, dude. It's from he goes, I don't know what year in the 70s, but it's from the 70s, man. He goes, here's a serial number. Look it up on the Neumann site. And I looked it up, and it's as old as me. It's 52 years old from 1973.
So he put a brand new capsule in, or
No,
did he try to?
no, the capsule
the
goes,
capsule's fine?
He goes, if the capsule's jacked, he goes, I can't do anything about it. But if the capsule's fine, he goes, I can fix anything else. All the electronics I can fix. And he opened it up. He goes, dude, the electronics on these are still really great. He goes, what's wrong with it is the plate where it's connecting to. So I have to get all those little pins and redesign a new, it's like a connector, like a plastic connector. And he goes, I'll redesign that. And, he had to do it. And then I looked up the mic, and it's worth like 10 grand.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, there's not many of those around.
Yeah. He goes, it's really, really good. It sounds really good. He goes, I don't think I've ever heard of U87 sound this it has so little noise in it.
And that's impressive if it's just been, if it's been sitting for 20 years, it also hasn't been used as much.
Yeah, no, and it was in the case. It just sat underneath the console there for it was right here for, I don't know, at least 10 years since I've done this. And I've had it since before that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, one last question about artists. You know, the only other one I was thinking of just off the top of my head that I forgot earlier was Brian Eno. What were you doing with Brian
Oh,
Eno?
those were sessions that I did with Herbie.
Oh, that was
and
another
those were really cool, man, because he's nutty, but like a mad scientist nutty. But
I could see that.
But in a cool way. Like they like so when we did those sessions, I was an assistant still at Herbie's, and you know, like they wanted to work in Logic, and the engineer at the time was like
Mr. Pro Tools.
Mr.
only.
Pro Tools guy, right? So he was having issues with like trying. I guess he was trying to like do an accent off of Logic, so off of the keyboard. And Brian Eno had brought this thing called the Elisa's Air Effects. You ever know what that
I
is?
haven't used that.
Man, I should look for one. So the Air Effects, you know what theremin is?
Mm-hmm.
So the Air Effects is the same concept as that. So what it does, it's a box that's got in and out. It's a multi-effects box. And it's got a little dome on it. So depending on the patch that you pick, when you closer you get, it either makes more distortion or more reverb or more delay, and you can like, you know, like affect it either by volume this way or
So
or
it senses when you're getting close, like those electrical balls
yeah,
you see in science.
yeah, and he's going, "Wah," you know.
That's cool.
It was really, really cool. And then he was like, the engineer was trying to get an accent off of Logic to feed the keyboard into it, and it was taking forever. And I told him, hey, like, why don't we just go out of the keyboard and into the Air Effects and back into Logic? No, I don't want to do that. And finally, after about an hour, Brandon goes like, what's going on, guys? What's going on? And the engineer kind of told him, he's like, well, Brandon goes, I got an idea. Why don't we go out of the keyboard and into the box and back into Logic? You know, the same thing I had told him. And he's all right, you know. I mean, to me, it's always been about like, if you see two guys working, just capture it.
Yeah.
You know, and not to like that guy he's an awesome engineer. I learned a bunch of stuff from him, but I think he was just frustrated. He was in that mode of like, I need to make it work. You know, but one thing that I learned from the guys that I got brought up was like, hey, dude, if something ain't working, move on. Like you can't
change your way you're thinking about it and try to come up with another solution.
Just make it work, because if not, like the ideas will go away.
And that's kind of like one reason I still like to do some live.
Yeah.
Is just problem solving.
Yeah, that's all you're doing.
Everyone's waiting for you.
Yeah. You know,
And
I do it every few years just to remind myself how much I don't like to do that. But in the last...
Everything keeps pulling me back to more and more live sound. I'm like, wait, only a small dose at a time.
Well, you know, it's funny. The last few years, my kids are in marching band. So the first year they were in marching band, man, the sound was so bad. I'll be like, oh my God. And my wife said, why don't you go tell the teacher that you can help them out? I was like, oh man, I already know where this is going to go. So I finally, you know, the kids, like my kids, especially my son, how does it sound? Yeah, it needs help, dude. He said, well, I'll tell him. So he told him, he goes, yeah, can you come look at it? And yeah, man, it was a mess, dude. They had this cool digital console, but it was like the EQs were all over the place. And it's like, man, you got to start cutting things, dude. Like, you know, you have the low end cranked up and the mid range cranked up, and everything's up.
Yeah, I had a similar thing with my students and all their, you know, quarterly shows, or you know, they have like maybe 3 shows throughout the year.
Yeah.
And I'd go see them play, you know, like a good teacher, and watch them play. And then I'm like, man, it's just not. And at one point, I went to the head guy. I'm like, hey, can I do sound for you guys? Like, you guys need some help, because they'd have some, like, you know, 7-year-old. Or not 7-year-old, but like some 10-year-old doing sound, and that's cool. They're getting some experience, but it's the show. Let her do that for the rehearsals. Yeah. And when the show's coming on, because I mean, the parents are gonna love it either way.
Yeah, they are. But
you want it to sound cool.
But then they do competitions, man, and you see the bands that there's what's up, and like, you know, they got a horn player, wow, all this cool reverb and delay, and then like everybody's like, yeah. So then eventually, like the bands on the marching bands, they have a pit. So they have like a drummer, keyboard player, guitar player, bass, and my son plays bass, and the guitar player they got is really good. So now they got him up doing all these solos, and I'm pushing him up and putting all these echoes on him. The crowd goes crazy. The director doesn't like it too much. He's like, you know, we're trying to keep it like, you know, more traditional. I go, hey, I had a funny time. I go, you know what the audience wants? They want flair.
Yeah. I'll do that too on the
You know?
solos. I'll crank up a
Yeah.
delay. I'll send it, and then I'll start panning it all left to
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
and like everyone's like, "Whoa, it's
Yeah,
happening!"
yeah. So the people hear it. I go, they want flair.
Yeah.
I go, every time I do that, what happens? The crowd goes all crazy because if we just put him up and he's playing,
They'll
then
just
it's-
clap, yeah.
Yeah, all right. But as soon as you hear it, like get really exciting, they're like, yeah, and you can, and the parents jump up and like, yeah, that's my son, you know. And it's great. It's great to see, and the kids, all the kids get excited, you know, and even the kids in the field are like, oh, I can hear it better now.
Well, and that's just gonna help their
Yeah.
interest in music get grow even more.
Yeah. And I go, just because like, I think some kids feel like, oh, well, I want to be a musician. It's not about being a musician. It's about, having that part of music in your life makes you like just think differently. Like that's just the way music is. Like all the great scientists of the world have all been musicians.
Yeah.
So like, it's great.
Well, I think that does it for the interview. We've
Cool.
talked. We could always do another one at another point in
Yeah,
time. But
yeah,
I think
let me
I
know.
don't want to hold you guys
No,
up.
no. We're here, man. You
Cool.
know. So whatever you need from us, dude.
And then if you guys want to come down to the studio, check out our space in person. I believe we're going to be doing our grand opening in sometime in either late October or November.
Oh yeah, where is it at?
Fountain Valley.
Oh yeah. Let us know.
Yeah,
I'll
we'd
take a
love to
field
have you
trip up
guys.
there. Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Thanks a lot, Cesar, for having us at the Shelter Studios. Everyone, please check out the website at theshelterstudios.com. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. We'll see you next week.